This is first, man. How anxious are you to kind of get back in there? And I imagine, put the last one behind you, get that taste out of the mouth.
Yep, get it out of the mouth. Move forward. It's you know how I approach these things, where I approach it a little bit more like an artist, and that was a really ugly painting, and I want to show everyone what I'm actually capable of. So excited to do that.
How do you deal with that one mentally? I mean, are there lessons that you take out of it, or is it better you just kind of just write it off and be like, well, that was a weird night?
No, definitely not just writing it off. There's a reason that things happen like that, especially something like that where I know I'm not that bad of a grappler, where it's like, all right, well, something else was going on, and I've been kind of a little bit hesitant to just kind of call it, because I don't want it to seem like an excuse, but I wasn't a good enough fighter on that night to know where I am capable of performing at a high level, as far as like where my intensity needs to be. My intensity was way too low, and I had been in the back thinking that was a good thing, because maybe this comes with the territory, because usually I don't have the issue of getting myself high enough and being intense enough for a fist fight. But I thought that it was a good thing being that calm, and I realized really quickly that it wasn't a good thing, and that's what happens, and lessons are learned really hard in this sport, and it sucks, but I've been addressing it, and I'm grateful that I got to learn that about myself, and I think it's going to pay dividends in the future.
That's awesome. They come back to you with a headliner, though. So I mean, does that make you feel good? Like, okay, hold on, they see something in me. They know I'm not some flash in the pan or what have you.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go one or the other. I thought they were either going to brush me off or they were going to give me another opportunity, and I'm grateful that they're giving me another opportunity. They still see some stock in me, and I just feel really grateful for that.
So with that said, does that mean you don't feel like you're necessarily starting completely over? I mean, obviously, what the discussion was like around you and your place in the division. Do you feel like, hey, I'm not going all the way down. I'm still right there at the top?
I think I'm going to do really, really well against Marlin. Marlin's a really technical guy who's really explosive, and I think I'm going to do really well against that. So I think that after this one, it will really be solidified, because I think Marlin gets a lot of respect. At least he gets a lot of respect from me. And I think he gets a lot of respect from other fighters and the fans as well. So I think me having the performance that I foresee in my head is going to really solidify me as like, hey, this, like that last one was, I made a mistake, and it had big consequences, but I'm still championship level fighter.
Nice. So last thing for me then, I mean, obviously you want to pick up the win, you want to put that one behind. I mean, do you feel like the goal is to come in here and say, I'm the number one contender in the division, or is that really a worry?
No, I mean, I still think I can be the best. You just have to be the best on the night that you have to be the best, which is easier said than done. So no, man, like I plan on taking that 16-hour flight home and going back to the U.S. as the number one contender.
Were you surprised at all that they offered you Marlon, considering he's coming off one of the biggest wins of his career, and you were coming off the setback to Aljamain?
Yeah, extremely surprised. They told me about it, and I was like, yeah, okay, we'll see, And then they sent the contract, and I was like, oh, this is actually happening. This is awesome. Marlon also, was in a spot where I don't think he really had anyone else to fight. And I mean, yeah, it's the stars had to really line up for this to happen, and they did. So
how far back into his career had you been paying attention to him? Did you ever view, like, even in his World Series of Fighting days, did you ever view him as a future opponent?
I don't know that I don't know that I ever saw him as a future opponent, but I knew he was really good. When I started doing well in the UFC and I started fighting a lot better guys, that's when I started paying a lot closer attention to the guys at the top and actually seeing them as opponents. But no, up until then, it wasn't really that case. But I mean, I've definitely had my eye on Marlon for a long time.
And then one final one, just gets like to get your reaction. And Marlon described you as just a better version of Dominic Cruz all around, like faster, stronger, longer, this and that. So I just like your reaction to that.
Wow, that's cool. I agree with them. No. Yeah, that's really nice of him. Yeah, cool.
Is there something nice about fighting one of MMA's nice guys? Right, you just know that Marlon's going to be professional. You know he's going to be nice to you the whole way into the fight. Is it nice to just have that fight week tension relieved?
I haven't had too much tension with anyone, so I don't really know what the reverse feels like. I don't see Marlon as a nice guy. I see Marlon as a guy who's going to try to knock my head off on Saturday night, and that's who he is to me this week. He can be a nice guy after the end of the week, but he's, in my head, he's not, he's still the opposition,
You mentioned you're surprised at getting Marlon. Like you said, a lot of things have to happen for it to line up, but now you have the fight. Surely there must be, the motivation of the opportunity in front of you must be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I want that belt, man. I want the belt, and I want to keep it for a really long time. And fighting a guy like Marlon, who's not some washed-up guy, he's not some fight builder up for me, or like Marlon's in his prime, and he's one of the best in the UFC. And I don't think just in the division, he's one of the best in the UFC. And I'm really excited to test my skills against that guy, and I just can't wait to fight him. I'm really curious to see, how well I do.
Marlon hasn't fought a tall fighter like you since 2014. I think his opponent was 5'10" at the time. Afterwards, he only fought smaller guys. Do you think he's going to try to take you down and finish on the ground, because then he can get a better chance to get his hands raised?
Perhaps. I'm going in kind of not anticipating too much. Marlon hasn't fought in a long time. Who knows what Marlon has been working on in that time, and I like where my headspace is much more where I expect anything, instead of expecting them to do certain things. Like, there's the whole narrative of, oh, Marlon's gonna gas, and then that's when Cory will pick him apart, and I'm not even gonna, fantasize about that narrative. To me, Marlon's gonna be a killer for 25 minutes, and he could try to take me down, he could try to kickbox me, he could try to take my leg off with leg kicks. Who knows? I like being in that headspace, so that's where I put myself.
Last one for me. Back in March, I believe, or February, you tried to fight Dominic Cruz in San Diego as a co-main event. People are here comparing you to Dominic Cruz, and Marlon just said they're a better version. If you were to fight Dominic Cruz, what do you think that would happen? How do you think that the fight would play out?
I think I'd win, and I don't know how I'd win, but yeah, that's how I think it'd play out. Hey.
So I think I'm right in assuming that Bob Marley and Martin Luther King are some of your heroes, but I wanted to know what it is about these characters that you take so much away from.
I think with fighting, maybe it's just me, or maybe everyone kind of goes through it, but Musashi has a quote where I'm gonna butcher it if I try to make it exact, but when you're a warrior, you have to have on the other scale, you have to have this huge balance of compassion, and you have to have a lot of love in your life as well, and peace, because what we do is very violent, and that'll mess with you if you let it, So I think that's likely why I really seek a lot of that out, is because I'm in a sport where the objective is to hurt the other person, and for me, I don't see myself as a violent person in life, but it's what I do as a living. So just balance.
Curious to hear your thoughts on champ Peter Yan and his fight with Aldo.
Actually, I was cornering that night, so I really didn't get to watch it too close. But yeah, Petr Yan's good, man. There's no getting around that. The guy is really talented. He's really skilled, and I'm really looking forward to the day that I get to fight that guy too.
Marlon said that he sees some holes in his game. Do you really see any holes in his game?
In Yan's game?
Yeah.
Everyone has holes in their game, man. Part of being a good fighter isn't just being the better technical fighter. It's about being better at figuring out how to win. And I think that there's always a way to beat every single person. And Yan definitely has his holes as well.
I think the last time we talked, you said your girlfriend was holding pads for you.
Yeah.
So how was training?
Yeah, she's actually in my corner. No.
It's a trend.
Yeah. Yeah, we're past that. The quarantine is really lightened up in Colorado, but before when it was strict, yeah, she was holding the mitts in the basement.
Anything else?
That's good.
All right.
Good.
Thanks.
Cool.
Time for a
Thanks,
whichever.
Thanks, guys.